So there was boats up on top of the water trying to bomb you down.
There was heavy ships outside the harbor waiting for us, and when we got out there, why then they were looking for us to drop depth charges on us and kill us. See?
How did you know it was 72 charges? How did you know there were 72 charges?
Because my job was to sit there in the
radio
shack
room.
If you get within 50 feet of your submarine, it cracks the hull, and you drown you.
Uh-oh.
How do you know that happens? It's blowing right above your head. I've had cork bust away from the top of the submarine inside where I was and drop a light bulb off.
Oh, yeah?
That's how much concussion there was during the area where I was with the submarine.
Did you ever get scared?
No, I was scared of getting killed, because you got 4 or 5 of those ships. They're moving all around listening sound gear. They're listening to you. And when they listen, they drive where you are, and then they drop the things and charge you. So,
were you listening to them in the radio room?
I listened to everyone.
You're the guy in the movies that says, "I think that engine must be one of those kind of ships."
Well,
is that what you were doing?
You know what they are because you're right there being charged right after charging them. And I took 72 charges, and I have deals that was put out by the state to tell that that's what happened, and I have things that show that that's what there was, and I had taken them by hand, so I knew what there was. The whole program was all written out on paper from the government, what we were doing.
Is that the trip where the skipper had some mental problems after that?
Yeah, unbeknownst to us, our skip had made so many. He'd made about 12 or 13 deals like that with submarine, and when you do too many like that, you start to get shaky, like you're nervous and scared, and you just jump every time somebody says boo. You jump out of it.
So what class? What was the patches? What did they call you? What officer rank or whatever they?
I was just a radar operator.
Radar operator.
Radar operator.
They didn't have something like petty officers or nothing like that, huh?
Well, I was a petty officer.
What does that mean?
So I was a radar second class.
Radar second class petty officer.
Yeah.
All right, whatever that means, folks.
Yeah. Well, you go from 3, 2, 1 to an officer.
I see.
From non-commissioned officer to an officer.
Oh, okay. So what kind of pay did you get there?
I think I got $200 a month.
$200 a month. And did you spend it or send any home?
I spent a little bit, but I sent
most of it home. Well, amazing. So then the war got over. Where were you? Do you remember when you found out the war was over? Where were you?
Yeah, after this deal that I'm telling you about that happened, within about 1 day the war ended.
I see.
The war ended, and I wasn't very far from the Philippines then, so I went to the Philippines, got on another submarine relief crew, and went back home.
Okay.
About 2 weeks later.
Now earlier you said you weren't in the Philippines, but you did go there later.
Later, yeah.
Okay, not on the way over there. All right. Also, I remember when you go, there's some Navy tradition when you go from like the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. What's that tradition called, or what do they do?
Well, you cross the equator.
Yeah.
The boats all get together. The people, the crew gets together, and they put you in a bathtub and they spank you and they.
What?
They beat
there's
you.
There's a war going on, and you're crossing, and they're going to beat you.
Yeah, it's just a program where you have to go through the deal to say I've been there.
You've been there, huh?
Yeah.
So they haze you.
Yeah, it's a haze deal. Yeah.
It's a hazing deal.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think they're doing that anymore.
Well, they still do it.
Oh, they still do.
Yeah, they still do it. Yeah, you don't.
Well, that's a very
you
important
don't get
part.
through the equator without that happening.
Something happening, huh?
Yeah.
Gosh, I would think they just watch a movie of World War II guys getting it. I don't know.
No, everybody. Yeah, that's done for everybody.
So in all your Navy stuff, did you ever have to fly in a plane then?
The only time I flew there is when I got off for the Philippines, getting ready to go home. We got 2 weeks vacation just before I left, and there was a big plane right close to us, about 10 miles from us, and we got on this old plane and flew down to Clark, airplane outfit in Manila,
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines, and spent about a week there.
Mm-hmm.
And Manila was just completely beat to death. There
Mm.
was holes in the hotels this big around where the bombs had hit all.
Mm.
All the buildings were beat up and everything.
When they dropped the nuclear bombs in Japan, do you remember anything about that?
That was after my time.
That you were already
I
out.
was home then.
You was home then, okay.
No, I wasn't. Where was I? Wasn't home because it didn't happen.
Hadn't ended the war yet.
No, or did it? It happened when I was there, but it just happened. And we was,
Okay, out in the, this is the last question then about that war. There were guys like Admiral Halsey's and MacArthur's and those kind of people. Who were the ones that the Navy guys around you really respected or thought were great people, or was there ones that you didn't like, or or was everybody a true American? And
the only ones I was close to was maybe an admiral or two in the Navy. It was in charge of the
right. I was just thinking they were talking about it, but you didn't have good.
The guy you talk about was in the Philippines. He was close to where we was, but I didn't get to talk to him.
Right.
Guy that smoked cigarettes.
MacArthur.
MacArthur. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now you graduated from high school, graduated from World War II, and you came back here, and then you go, now what do I do?
Well, then after I did that, I got out of the service and I went to work with the paper mill here in Vancouver where I was, and
Boise Cascade
Yeah.
plant. What was it called back then? Some sawmill?
Boise Cascade, I think.
No, I think it was
Oh,
called
no, it's the
Darwin
Columbia River Paper Mill.
Columbia River Paper Mill.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of something brothers.
They had a big paper mill, but they also had a big sawmill that we went to.
Okay. Du Bois, is that something?
Well, Du Bois was a separate sawmill by itself.
All right. So what was your job there, mostly?
Well, I worked on we just cut timber. We cut 250,000 board feet a day.
I see.
I worked on a head rig. I had saws the saws were about 7 feet high, and they were 3 of them stacked high, one on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a flat saw that cut the bottom part of the strip
Mm-hmm.
as they went through. And the logs that I worked on this, they worked on a carriage
Mm-hmm.
on
A metal carriage.
They
that-
went back
like
and forth 40 feet.
Oh, I see. They were locked in.
These trees were at least 6 feet high, 6 or 7 feet high, and 40 feet long.
All right.
They were trees.
6 feet
6
diameter.
feet high, around,
diameter.
yeah.
All right.
Around, like that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, those are biggies.
Oh, yeah. And anywhere from 30 to 40 feet long.
All right. So is that dangerous? Okay, if it hits a nail.
It was dangerous enough if you just got hit wrong, you was dead. Well, where you get wrong is something could blow up in the saw, and they had
Right.
teeth inserted beds, and they went flying
the
back
saw
sometimes.
saw blades go flying.
Oh yeah, something you get hurt in the head rig or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen very often, but it could have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I started
Then
at.
you're working there, and then you start dating Dorotha, and then you get married. What's that all about?
Well, I just lived there till.
Did you date any other girls besides Dorotha? Not really, huh?
No, never did. Oh, I went to
Dude.
several girls when I was in high school. I went to a girl
Right.
named Beverly Jean. What's her name? Lewis. No.
Mhm.
Beverly Jean something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Beverly Jean Young.
Okay.
Yeah, she was from Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only one I ever went with.
Mm-hmm. So, when you met Dorotha, where did she live?
She lived in Princeton, same place I did. We
Okay.
went on the bus to school together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same bus.
All right. What did a date constitute in those days? What did you do on a date with Dorotha? Where would you take her? What would you do?
Went to either a show, dancing, or bowling ball.
Bowling. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had Crossley Bowling then? No?
Crossley Bowl, yeah. Still
Crossley Bowl. Where'd you go dancing?
we went to the big dances at Jensen Beach
How about Fisher Grange? No?
and Fisher Grange. Every Saturday we went to Fisher Grange or up here at Hawkinson to dance.
What kind of music was it? I suppose
Cowboy.
cowboy music,
Accordion.
accordions,
Accordion.
accordion music.
Yeah.
Do you ever have the big bands, Glenn Miller sound stuff?
Not here. They
No.
did in Jensen Beach.
In Jansen's. Oh, okay, but Fisher's had
I
the
went to
live band.
Went to Dorsey's and with
Mary Dorsey.
Jack Teagarden.
There you go.
Them guys.
Okay. All right. So that was 1946. You got married out in Prebstel
Went
at
skating once in a while. They had big skating rinks.
roller skating, and you went out and got married. Where did you live then when you got married?
We got married in Prebstel.
Yeah, you got married on the Joe
Got married-
Weber's place, right?
No, we really got married at Glenn Hagen's house.
Got married at Glenn Hagen's house on 83rd.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Now, Glenn was living in the house up from the dairy, right? Toward Bolts, is that where it was?
Yeah, that's where we got married.
That's where you got married, okay. And then you had a little house downtown Vancouver when you started?
Yeah, on 5th Street, about 100 feet from where we worked.
From where they worked in the
The
mill?
paper mill had some empty
Mhm.
houses there, and we rented our place there. Little apartments.
Okay, then you had your series of kids, and from there I think us kids know kind of what went on, at least I do, because I was older. You had Gordon in 48, Connie in 49, and Vicky in 52, and let's see, I think it's Arnold in 55, and Sharon in 57, and Roger, I'm going to guess, 59. And so you had your 6 kids. Where did you work at after, in the 50s?
Well, after I quit there, I worked for 9 years with Bennett Paper and Supply.
And when did you start your first turkey ranch project?
Well, I was doing turkeys at the same time.
All the time?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The last year that I had turkeys, I had 18,000 turkeys and 110,000 fryers, and worked out full time at the same time.
Wow. Now, you said you worked for. Where'd you say you worked? I
Bennett Paper and Supply.
All right, but I know before that you worked at Alcoa, right?
Oh yeah, I did work at Alcoa for about, I'm guessing, a year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for Susan Roebuck before that for maybe a year and a half.
Okay. What was your first nicest car that you really liked that you bought when you got back from World War II?
Nicest car?
The one you liked.
First car we ever bought new was a Chevrolet.
What year?
Oh, it was right after the war, and you had to wait 6 months in order to get
How
one.
much did it cost?
God, I don't remember.
Okay, so we'll skip that. Then, when did you buy up here on Mill Plain? What years was that? When you
About 56,
56. Okay.
pretty close.
All right. And that's when you, over the next few years, built the block house and built, had the barn and raised
Yeah,
the chickens and the
just
kids
built
and did all
turkeys
this.
right here, and I bought another 5 acres over here.
Okay. And then you went into real estate for some reason.
Yeah, when I was living with Bennett Paper Supply, I started working real estate part-time, and it got to where I was making enough money that I couldn't afford to stay the other one, so I just quit and went doing real estate.
What was your job at Bennett's?
I was, they sold school supplies and paper supplies,
Okay.
toilet paper,
Right.
everything like that.
So you were warehouse.
So,
warehouse.
wax, janitorial supply mainly.
So you kind of managed the warehouse and then delivered the products
Yeah.
in the truck later
Yeah.
in the afternoon.
Yeah,
or
I was
whatever.
the warehouseman and put them in it.
All right, so you accepted the new stuff coming in and stacks
Right,
and then
yeah,
takes it out to
yeah.
the Fred Meyer stores. I rode with you a couple times. I remember that a
Yeah.
little bit. Do you remember the fire they had there and the acids that were all over the floor? I remember as a kid I went in there and it ate through my clothes at
Who
Bennett's.
did?
It was at Bennett's Supply. They had a fire and we went down there and there was sulfuric acid on the floors even. And we were walking around in the Bennett's floor and it had that, it was real dangerous because it had that muriatic acid or some kind of acid.
No, I don't remember.
You don't remember that part?
I don't remember ever having a fire there.
Yeah, well that's what I'm here for, to remind you.
A fire?
Yeah, it was a fire. It had to be a fire. I don't know what else it could have been because it was a...
How would we had a fire?
Well, I don't know what else it could have been. All
Well,
I know,
we're
though,
fire.
the fireman sprayed the water, and it got in the acid in the store, and it was down like an inch high of water and acid after for the fire cleanup. But anyway, that'll jog your memory on that one later. Let's keep going on the real estate. Who did you work for first as a broker when you went into real estate?
Jack Bell.
Okay, and
Jack and
Mom got her license, and she worked with Jack down there at Properties Diversified at McGilvery's old barn, right? And in those days, what did they pay you in real estate commission? What was the standard fee? Or how?
Most of it was 6%.
6%, and then the listing agent got how much? And the selling agent got how much? Because one time you told me that in the old days, the listing agent only got like
I think
10%.
30% of listing and 60% for selling or something.
Yeah, actually, you told me it was 10% for the listing, and more for the sales. And I think that was designed so Jack Bell could do the sales if you guys would go out and get the farmers to list their properties. But maybe that I have a bad memory.
I don't remember 10% for listings.
Yeah, okay.
I guess you could at the last we could.
But it was more if you sold the property
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
You got more money.
Yeah.
And then after you left that company, you went to work for who?
Bob Snyder.
Bob Snyder. And then after that, you got your own. You worked for.
Had my own.
You worked for one other broker for a while, and he got in trouble. I remember that.
Oh yeah, one time I worked for
I don't know his name.
Lakeside Realty. What was his name?
I think his name's lost.
Hmm?
I don't think we'll remember it.
Oh, I'll remember it. Yeah, Gibson, Les Gibson.
Les Gibson. Okay. Wow, that's a cool name. Les
He's a
Gibson.
real sharp guy. He's a fun guy. But I always